Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I'm your host, Ashley Russo, president and executive producer of The Peak TV. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers who are winners in their field and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. Tony, it is so great to have you here. Thanks for joining Unscripted with Russo. Love having you. Tony Iannelli from the Chamber of Commerce. It's the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. It wasn't when you started, though.
No, we've had a lot of names. We have the Allentown Chamber, the Allentown Lehigh County Chamber, the Lehigh County Chamber, the Lehigh Valley Chamber, the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, all those with our growth. So I say with our growth, and I say if our next iteration is the even greater, because we're kind of out of names. So.
Yeah, where are we going to go with it?
Yeah, I think we mostly refer now as the Chamber, so it makes life easier.
It makes sense, and people get that. It's funny, when I talk to people outside of the area, and I say, I'm doing something with my chamber, I find a need to almost defend or justify the magnitude of this chamber, because I think most people think, oh, like their little chamber in their town. Yeah. And this chamber is nothing like that. So just so you know, I'm out there defending
I'm sure you are.
The giant chamber of the Lehigh Valley. It was like 7th in the country or something?
Yeah, I think we could say 6, but we'll go with 7.
We'll go with 7
safe,
for now, just, you know. Okay.
And you've helped us through this all the way from the very beginning.
It's been fun.
So
it's been a good
I can't believe how often I call Ashley, so thanks for all that you do.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Thanks for trusting us. We've had fun with it. You guys do a lot of cool events, but before we get into some of that, I'd love to talk to you more about where you started. Like, tell me a little bit about little Tony. Was it little Anthony? Where were you raised? What kind of family did you come from?
Well, actually, it's little Terrence, because my first name is Terrence, which I never used. Terrence
I didn't know
Anthony.
that.
Yeah,
okay.
Terrence Anthony. My mom's Irish, my dad's Italian. 7 kids and a wonderfully happy, dysfunctional family.
Of course.
So it was sometimes crazy, but it was a lot of fun when I was younger.
What number are you in the 7?
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
That explains a lot, actually. So you're a peacekeeper.
Yeah, I am.
You get it, and
that's
that tells me a lot about why you're so good at this job.
Yeah, and I'm always thinking, I'm always feeling, what is someone thinking? Because I don't know why. I guess was that empathy, but I'm always wondering, did I hurt someone's feelings? Did I not? So yeah, I was stuck right in the middle, and so I learned to negotiate. And I had older brothers. And if you didn't negotiate, they would just beat you up. So, I learned lessons quickly. But no, it was great. But we had, just to get an idea where maybe some of the determination or whatever. So when I was younger, we had a family business, and again, 7 children. We had a pretty nice, and we lived, in the 60s kind of quote unquote good life or upper middle class. In the 60s meant you had, one car and and maybe you went on vacation to
And you didn't have 4 kids in a room?
Yeah. Well, we did. We had 3. I slept in the middle.
See?
My brothers had a bed, and then we pushed them together, and I would sleep what they called the crack. But anyway, yeah, that's what. So
that sounds like the 2 chairs we used to push together at hotel rooms for the 5th child. Like we used to put the 2, because we're like, well, let's not get the extra room. Let's just put the littlest one in the 2 chairs that fit together.
I get that.
I understand that.
So that's
that
where
model.
I slept. And then we did the old, we transferred our garage. But anyway, so we had a really good thing. And then my father, he bought his brother out, and a couple changes, and he ended up losing his business, and we really lost everything. We had to leave our house. We had to.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah,
and when did this happen? How old were you?
That was about a senior in high school.
Oh, that's a tough time.
So yeah, it was really, wow. I'm like, oh, this isn't fun.
Were you immediately concerned about the younger siblings? What was your sort of thought at that time?
Yeah, I've always, thankfully, been able to be sort of the patriarch, and take care of. To this day, we still have a very close family, and over the course of the time, everyone's either worked for me or lived with me. So our older siblings, but yeah, you get that. But I think the first phase was, was like, the old saying, quote unquote, every man for himself or woman for, we just all scattered in a sense. And I remember saying to my mom, I got to get a job. And we had an uncle that worked at Mack Trucks, and she said, call him. And I did. And then, in those days, industrial revolution kind of thing, I mean, the tail end of it, but the next day I was on the assembly line. I worked at Mack Trucks on the assembly line for about 3 years, and that really got me back on my feet.
That's interesting. And when you go through a time like that, I guess I would say a really, pivotal time of your life. I mean, you're transferring from childhood to adulthood, and then something as significant as losing a business, I would equate with a death or losing, it's a really significant thing.
Yeah, and a home, too.
Yeah, that's huge, your childhood home.
Yeah.
What do you think you learned through that you can look back on now that maybe you didn't appreciate at the time, but if you were looking back and thinking through adversity, what you kind of learned from that?
To worry all the time. I think, I do kiddingly
It does
say.
give you a sense of worry, though,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I always get the sense. I think one of the things that have been my greatest motivator. I always say I'm proactively paranoid. I'm always worried about the next thing, and in a way that's a good thing. In a way, it's kind of a shame because that's you're. I mean, it's not like I run around now in my life. It's not like I run around wringing my hands or anything like that. But I'm always on to what could come next. What could be the next.
Do you mind if I borrow that? Because I feel like I'm proactively paranoid.
Yeah,
often,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I like that term though because the idea is it is funny. Like people say, don't worry, don't have anxiety, but when you go through something difficult, it puts life in perspective, right? So you realize that bad things can happen, and you got to plan for it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
So,
that's a good point that you make. I always have a plan B of some kind for everything, because my experience has been, this could not end well. So again, I've had a great life in the chamber. Really, that's been the whole thing. I mean, my life was good, but getting to the chamber 21 years ago, it completely transformed my life.
absolutely, and it's given you a whole nother chapter.
Yeah.
But when you were a kid, tell me what you were interested in. Did you play sports? Were you into music? What did you do?
No, we were I wasn't into school. I was not very good at that part. But I wasn't a troublemaker. I just was having too much fun. I would say I was probably just a ton of friends, and we played sports, baseball. We had a field next to our house. It was really in the west end of Allentown, so it wasn't like it was rural, but there was a lot, I guess I should say, not a field. We had a lot, and we played baseball there, and we had a basketball court. Well, that's all we did, basically, is play sports of some kind. So the result is, probably not the best academically, but it was fun.
But you had a good time. You had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And you went to Allen High School?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so right here in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your whole life.
It was crazy. My mom went to Allen, I went to Allen, and my daughter went to Allen also. So it was,
Good legacy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's not forget we have our wine here.
Yeah, you
This
do.
is
I
our
see
our
that.
signature unscripted thing is that we have wine. It's a nice petite
I
Syrah.
like a nice red, too.
Good, right? Me too. Italian thing, I think, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you get a job at Mack Trucks, basically out of necessity. Have you graduated school?
High school, yeah.
Graduated high
And I was
school.
going to the community college,
Weren't quite
So all my
sure.
friends, it was one of those periods of time, all my friends are gone because they're all intelligent and going to college, and I'm kind of still here. Well, the first phase, I shouldn't say that. The first phase, so actually this all took place not in my senior year. It started my senior year, but it didn't come to a very unhappy ending till maybe my a year or two after. So I was working for my dad, trying to hang on to this thing.
And what was the family business?
A meat and poultry business. Yeah, It was
Okay.
a great business.
That's interesting. My husband's grandfather was was butcher.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So but it was a wholesaler. We had this quote unquote plan, and we would had 3 or 4 trucks, and in the end you had 1 truck. So I was doing that, and then I got the job at Mack Truck, and that gave me stable
Well,
income.
before you go to that, though, tell me a little bit about what you learned in working with your dad in a business. Now, even though ultimately the business, went under, it's an interesting thing to grow up with a family business. I grew up with a family business, and I feel like there's a lot of things you learn by osmosis. You don't know you're learning till later. So tell me a little bit about what that experience is working for a small business owner, especially when it's a family business.
Well, and it's helped me a lot in my job today.
That's
And one
how
of the
I
things,
feel.
One of the things when they hired me, they wanted someone with public and private experience. So I don't want to get ahead of us, but so as a family, I was used to this entrepreneurial concept of making money selling chickens. And then also for whatever reason, I always really loved the community we live in. So I always wanted to be involved in that. So I had a little public and private experience. But I think what I learned is, number one, the ups and downs of business, and just the aggressive nature that good business people need to have, and good credibility. I think is really important. So I was maybe a little different that way, and that I would have. So there are things I would have done differently, but I was a young guy, and I'm at that point I'm say 17, 18
Sure.
years old. So, but it was. Again, things that happen, I think I always tell people the toughest things you go through are really what teach you the most. And I wouldn't, people say this all the time, but I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
I mean, unless someone left me a couple $1 million, I would change
Well, then
that. I would change
you'd go
that.
with that.
Yeah.
All right, so now you're at Mack Trucks, you're going to the community college.
Yeah.
Where does life take you next? I mean, at this point, do you have a plan? Are you developing a plan?
No, I actually never have a plan. I actually don't.
You
I
go
actually
with
don't.
it.
People say to me with the chamber, boy, all this growth, did you have a plan? I said, no, I just get up every day. First of all, the few assets I have is I typically love what I do. So I love this job. I love it, the community. So it's easy for me to work all the time. And again, it's not like I'm, down at a dock loading trucks or something. It's a pretty good deal, but I do it all the time. And even when I'm on vacation, my wife Wendy, she doesn't mind, but I'm on the phone. I always tell people if I'm away, even if I'm in Europe or something, instead of getting back to you in like 2 minutes, I'll get back maybe 3.5 or 4. So, but it's only because not because I'm so wonderful. I'm just nosy. I want to find out what's going on.
I totally relate to everything you're saying. I feel like I'm the same way. But I think also when you have, when you're lucky enough to work in a career that you really love, it doesn't feel like work. And I know people also always say that, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really the truth. You also seem to be somebody who like just dives right in. So I would think regardless of the work experience, you're diving in and you're just sort of taking opportunities as they come.
Yeah, I really was really lucky. I mean, I was on the assembly line, then I went into sold real estate, and while I was selling real estate, I had a goal to be the salesperson of the year, and it happened. And I remember driving home from the event where they made the presentation. This is for the Lehigh County or Lehigh Valley Board of Realtors,
Okay.
So it was and I remember driving home thinking, I don't really want to do this anymore. So I got a job and took a huge pay cut, $17,000 I remember I was getting paid. I got a job in doing some work in the downtown, in Allentown. It was a volunteer group, and that evolved into working for the Economic Development Corporation, which evolved into working for Ray Holland, who owned Holiday Hair Fashion. He bought the Hamilton Plaza Hotel. I ended up managing that and the renovations, and then I started the commercial cleaning business, and that was wonderful, and sold that and ended up at the Chamber.
Whew.
So.
Oh my goodness, that's a way
I
to
think I even left a couple out, by the way, somewhere in there.
What do you think is the common thread of those various jobs, which really, on paper sort of seem relatively unrelated?
Yeah, I say other than the Mack Trucks job, I always was fortunate enough to be at the top, where I could lead, I guess, in a way. It's interesting. I've seldom worked, directly I've had a lot of board jobs where I have had boards, or got to, at the hotel, I got to be I'll never forget, Ray called me and said to me, hey, Ray had a southern accent, how'd you like to manage my hotel? And I said, I don't know about a hotel. He said, I don't either, and I just bought it. I said, okay, I'm in.
You can learn together.
Yeah, so that was the biggest. I mean, I've had a couple, like all of us, people that were really good to me, and I got breaks because of them, really good. And there was no reason why I should be managing this renovation of this hotel. But I met Ray when I worked for Allentown Economic Development Corporation. I think I left that one out. And we got to be friends, and that's how I got into that business.
When you were doing economic development, what were you learning about the area? Because I think it's interesting, as someone from outside of the area, although I've been here 15 years now, and it's certainly where we made our home and raised our family,
Yeah.
that gives you a really interesting vantage point into the entire community from a different way. Did you find that as well because you were from here, or did you already kind of know that stuff and you were helping to facilitate? I mean, what did you...
I really, almost every job I had in that period was focused on the downtown Allentown, and I saw so when I was a young boy, that's where I would go when I was a kid. I would, my mom would send me to get on the bus and go down, shopping, and even when I was young, we had 7 kids, so I always kiddingly say, I think she wanted me to come back. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. But so I saw that phase. Then it really took a nosedive, and now back up again. So I've seen that whole rejuvenation, if you will, and I've seen the good times and the bad times.
Yeah, and kind of been able to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I've tried to do at the Chamber, one of our mantras was on every main street. I really love, even in Hellertown here, I love our main streets. I think they have history and hardworking people that kind of want to hang on to
and
it.
A sense of community. I mean, we've been on this main street in Hellertown for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And when we were looking to move, I think that without my work with the Chamber, I don't know that I would have considered. I would have looked more at an office building. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is we love it. We love it. I tell Jessica all the time, the thing I can't get over is the sense of community here. We're on the porch for the parade. We're supporting the tree lighting.
No, yeah.
We want to be a part of it, and we don't even have a business that benefits from being on Main Street.
Yeah, you don't.
But there's something infectious about that, and I love what you guys have done to reignite that concept of Main Street USA.
Yeah. It's a great spot.
You don't want it to get lost, and yet at the same time, there's all this amazing industry happening here.
Yeah.
It's
even when I
nice
sit
balance.
in this beautiful facility you have, whatever building, I think, wonder what the history is.
I know.
Who
We'll have
lived
to
here,
find
who
that
grew
out.
up here, and it's probably.
Well, I was saying earlier to you when you came in that we found out from people, who'd been a yoga studio. It was a shop before. It was a store. We've had people come in and tell us that their mother ran a shop here, or they took a yoga class here, or whatever. So it has this cool, rich history.
I need
Might
to take
be
a yoga
story.
class, by the way.
And I don't know.
I'm a
I'm going to
bad
just tell you in
stretcher.
advance, I'm not sure that people like us can relax
I'm
long
not a
enough.
big stretcher.
No, we can't relax
Yeah.
long enough to value
true.
yoga. It's great, but we probably need it.
Yeah.
What about the commercial cleaning business?
Oh,
How did
that's
you get into that?
that's another that's a crazy story too. But that was that was a gift from God, as they say. I had 2 small children at the time,
And I want to talk about your girls.
Yeah, and I at that time my then wife and their mom. I said one of us has to. I was sort of fanatical about it, and we had an au pair that didn't go so well, and daycare and so on. So I said one of us is going to leave. I'm okay. I don't want to pull like the guy thing. I'm gonna. But she said, okay, I'll quit my job, but you got to make up the income. So that very next day, someone came up to me and said to me, hey, we need someone to take garbage out of the building. So I asked a couple of the guys that worked for me. One guy plays softball, the other one, my wife doesn't want me. So I started doing it. And then the next thing you know, it really, I don't know, that's a long story, but it really grew, and it was incredible business. So
Now, was it a situation where there was a need here and there wasn't really a service to fill it? Was it a situation where you kind of found a niche that didn't exist
yeah,
yet?
I found it was good for me. You don't need a ton of depth to be in that business, and my personality, again, are you happy? Did I make you happy? Is it? So it was just really about pleasing people. I just found a niche, and it was a phenomenal run. And then I sold that, and then for several years, I wasn't involved at all. But people would keep saying to me, "Boy, I wish you would be." So I have some partners, and now we have a new iteration of it. So
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
been
you.
for a while. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay, good for you. That's great.
So,
Tell me about your girls.
oh
They're awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say other than what do you say when but they are incredible. And at the St. Luke's Shining Star piece, I saw them sitting out there and introduced them, and it kind of hit me. They're just you think of all the mistakes. When I think of my case, of having gone through a divorce and everything when they were younger, and all the mistakes that you make. But boy, they turned out to be, they're incredible. They're really, and they have 2 really nice husbands, which really makes me happy. And what's so crazy is I'm half Irish, half Italian. So Chrissy marries an Italian guy from New Jersey. I always kid him. I say, "You're in the mob, aren't you?" But he's not. He's a principal.
He's the opposite of that.
He is the opposite.
He
yeah.
is.
And Alex, an Irish guy from the Lehigh Valley. So I got a Grillo and a McFadden.
Oh,
So.
I love it. They're great, and they're really. You have a close-knit family. It's nice to see. I
Yeah.
like that. Tell me what it's like to be a dad of 2 girls. I always feel like that's a sort of a special thing because it's different. It's not necessarily maybe what boys you think of a boy and throwing a ball, and then you've got a girl, and then what is that like? I have a nice relationship with my dad, so I'm always
good,
curious. Like, what is it like to be the dad of girls?
Well, I always say I was a good girl dad. I'd be much better than a boy dad because
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, I played sports, but I don't hunt or fish, or I'm very close to I could be a girl, So anyway, but so we just always.
Yeah, the rumor is you like to take them shopping. You're into you do the shopping thing.
Well, yeah. Well, what I love to do, and I'm sometimes if I'm down in Florida, there's outlets down there, and I'll call them and say, I got you, something. I get them something small every time I'm down there. Do you want me to send you a picture? And they're like, no. If you bring it home, we got it. It'll work. So usually I can pick out pretty good stuff. But again, when they were younger, I don't know. It's just. Maybe 2 when you're a single parent, you get a little you'll either get closer or further apart.
Right.
Some people just want to get away from the emotion. I'm out of here. But we just got very close, and they're great. I don't know. I'm thankful for that because again, I know I did make. I worked a lot, maybe more than I think everyone thinks. I could have more time. So I was a hockey ref then, and I mean, some weeks.
Whoa! Let's talk about that because you know what? I'm glad you brought it up because I would have forgotten that piece. Tell me about the hockey. So people who don't know, did you play ice hockey?
No,
How did you get into reffing ice hockey?
The whole thing's crazy. But this just goes back to connecting with people. So I always played the traditional sports, football and primarily football. I went down to a Flyers game. I think I was at that point 30, maybe 29. And I thought, this is insane. I love this. They're killing each other. And hockey was different then, too. So
yeah, were maybe no helmets, or they were optional,
yeah, when I
probably?
started reffing, we didn't wear helmets, actually. So anyway, I went to an old sporting goods store in Allentown. Whitwer and Jones it was called. Anybody from Allentown remembers Whitwer and Jones. And I bought these real crappy figure skates and went over to the old Ice Palace and started skating around. And I got close to the guy that managed the rink.
Okay.
He was from Chicago. He was a really good Division I hockey player. So he taught me how to skate. And then I played,
And you did not know how to skate before this?
No,
Not at all. Not on a pond, nothing.
No, but he taught me how to skate.
I love that you thought this was a good plan. I really...
Again, no plan at all. I'm like, hey, this seems like fun. And next thing I know, I started playing like in a men's league, nothing great hockey. But then I started to ref. He needed refs, and I started to ref. And for 27 years, I reffed for a long time. So I loved it. It was good extra money, and plus it kept in. Although I have to say, I used to say I'm the only guy that could ref like 60 games a year and not lose any weight. I was capable of doing that. Because by the third period, I'm like, I think I want a chicken cheesesteak. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But it's fun.
It's fun, right?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I come from a big hockey family,
Oh,
believe it or
really?
not. I did figure skating.
Oh, yeah,
but
sure.
all my brothers and two of my sisters played hockey.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Where?
everybody grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, wow,
You know,
okay.
like Menin Arena,
Yeah.
Morristown,
Yeah,
that area. And my stepdad, I'll tell you, is a funny story. He is a California guy, married my mom when he was 40, 35 years ago. And we were from the East Coast, and everybody skied and skated and all these things. He did the same thing you did, learned how to skate and joined a men's league and he decided he ended up being a goalie.
Oh,
because
wow,
he didn't have to
that's-
skate quite as much.
That means he's crazy,
but he could still participate. So you have something in common. But I admire people who pick something up in
Did you get
their
along?
adult life.
Did you like him?
Oh, he's great. He's still
good.
around. He's right around the they're great. I'm really lucky. My parents divorced when I was 6, but by the time I was 8, both remarried, and they're still married to those people today.
Oh, good. So
I
they're
have
nice people.
it's a nice big family.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Wendy. You have a wonderful wife now. Speaking of beauty and fashion and smarts and all those things, that's Wendy.
So I was married.
How'd you do it, Tony?
That's what everybody says. I've had a lifetime of how do you end up with her? How does he end up with her? I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know. What I know is that I was single for 20 years in between. I was married to my job, and I was really enjoying my life. It was just a lot of fun. I loved every minute of it. And I met Wendy through her. Her sister was a friend of mine. I met Wendy through her sister, and I thought she was really nice because she's always happy, and she's very chill. So she's the total opposite of. I always tell her I relax vicariously through her.
You do feel a sense of calm and happiness just seeing Wendy, and the way she greets everyone with such. She's so genuine.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand. I think when we're around people, I always say she has meaningful conversations with people. I'm like,
you're on the move.
But I just have, when you have ADD, which so many people. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm sure that I do. They always say you respond to the nearest or the most any stimuli.
Yeah,
so it's very hard for me to
stay
focus.
focused in.
Yeah. Like
but
all these people here that are.
I know they're around us.
Yeah,
you know what's interesting
though
about that? I think that they're sort of finding that a lot of very entrepreneurial people have, maybe even if it's not diagnosed ADD or ADHD, they do need to move. I mean, I've done professional assessments, and I need to be in constant change.
Well, you are,
I need to be new things, new people,
so
new
neat.
situations. And when you learn that, I think it makes you successful in whatever you do.
Yeah, even when we have staff changes, sometimes people, I think of it as a new opportunity.
Right.
Maybe we get, I love the people that we have, but, there's always like a new twist to what you can do. So.
But not everybody responds to it that way.
No, I know that. I like change. I do, and that's something maybe sometimes I have to work on.
Speaking of your staff at the Chamber, how many people work for the Chamber now?
32.
32. And I don't know if this has been brought up to you before or not, but I have found in my interactions that you employ a lot of really strong, smart, independent women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you bring in a lot of young women, and you promote a lot of women, and there's this strong sense that women have opportunity in this chamber. That is the outside looking in, and they're really all pretty neat to get to know. And is that purposeful, and where does that come from?
No, I just think I'm really. Again, I've never been it's not a conscious thing, but I've never been a guy's guy, so I have a tendency, I think, to, of our 33 staff, 30 of them are women, and I love working. They're incredible. I mean, it's just, and maybe it matches. I'm not a good detail or follow through person. I think a lot of women in our office. So I always say, I always used to kiddingly say, what's different is women start something, they're going to finish it.
Yeah.
We start something and then have someone else finish it, and then we're very willing to take
the credit for
it.
it.
Yeah, take credit for it. Yeah, yeah. We did it. I love the old line. I always hated the line. I couldn't do it without my team. You know, I mean, everyone knows you couldn't do it without your team. I don't know. It's just something I always feel like is really
It's
about
true,
yourself.
though.
I couldn't have done it without the
you're
rest
right.
of those people.
I know.
It's been a team effort. Well, sure, it's been a team effort.
It always is, isn't it?
But yeah, but I don't know. Marlon's phenomenal. Michelle's phenomenal. Danielle, Dawn, our accounting person. Frank is, he's the lone,
He's
the lone guy. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there has to be some relation to having had some younger sisters, your relationship with your mom, you raised 2 daughters.
Yeah.
But you, whether you're conscious of it or not, you have done a really good job fostering female talent in the Lehigh Valley, and it's visible. It's on a platform where people take notice. I've taken notice, so
Yeah, I think there's a tendency. I try to back to maybe do things different, not even consciously thinking about it. I think our next chair, the way it's in line, would be John Hayes, who's at Nutripoli Bank. Beyond John would be Mary Lasicki, and
we just finished. Dorota's just finished her
Dorota's,
tenure.
Dorota's
So
been
a
great,
good friend.
so-
She's wonderful.
we have a lot of good people.
That's
really
good. It's
people.
nice.
Yeah.
What are
And
your
they're really talented. And
They are.
and,
You have a lot of great, talented people that are moving this valley along, and we should mention that they're really all volunteers outside of your staff.
Yeah.
You've got hundreds of volunteers.
Yes. Yeah, incredible. I mean, our board's 70 people in our board. So that's a lot of people. So
That's a big board,
I know.
especially for a staff of 32.
Sometimes people say to me, because again, I have a very mercurial sense of, sometimes, anyway, maybe given my life experiences that I had a big family. We're always, kidding each other, and went to Catholic school. And so my self-esteem, or whatever you would say, is very mercurial. So I say we've had such a good run at the Chamber, even I'm starting to believe in myself.
It only took 21 years?
Yeah. And that's not a lot, but I think I think it did take me 20 years to actually feel like, I can't say that I've arrived, but, because there's all kinds of levels of people that have, the success is incredible,
Yeah.
Some people are through the charts, but I think maybe for where I started, I think, I have to say I'm pretty thankful that where I
You're
got.
allowed to feel proud of yourself.
That means the other shoe. But if I do that, that's the old, oh my God, if you say that,
See,
then
you're worrying.
something's
you're worrying.
gonna,
I could see it.
something
I could
tomorrow
see it
could
happening.
happen.
Give me a piece of advice that you would give to somebody starting out in their career. What's something you want a young person to know that you've learned? What's a lesson you've learned?
Yeah, I'm cautious about that because, there's so much different in terms of generational. But for me, I really think it's about connecting with we use the term mentors, but people that have, when I think about people in my life that have been there when I needed them or opened doors for me, and I think 2 things I would say. Number one, so find people that care about you, will mentor you. It could be family, it could be business associates, and don't underestimate at what level people will be willing to mentor and help you. And I think of some people in my life that, particularly later in my career, that were really big time movers and shakers, maybe saw themselves in me and were willing to help me a lot. So. That I never thought.
I think that's good advice because people don't realize that there are helpers, mentors out there if you don't ask. Mm-hmm. And often the really good ones don't view themselves the way you view them, right?
Yes.
We put them on a pedestal, we admire them, but they don't think of themselves that way. And they recall starting out or they recall lessons they learned. And I feel like it's a kind of a pay it forward, right? So they're willing to pay it forward, and
I wonder if you've seen this because we do the same thing in terms of. I always think the most successful people, or some of the most successful people I know, they're always the ones when the show's over. How'd I do? Did I do okay? I'm really surprised.
They wanna
I'm
grow.
surprised that the most, usually the more successful, more they ask me that. How'd I do? Did I do pretty good? I did.
Love that. Speaking of TV, a thing we have in common. Tell me about Business Matters. This is a show you've been doing with WFMZ for how long now?
I don't know.
Oh, God,
I really don't know, but
right?
I think like 15 years
A long
or like
time.
12 years or something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
and you're on Monday nights, correct?
Monday night, 7:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So not too far. You know, the Peak TV is now Monday
Yeah,
nights
I
at
love
6:30.
PT,
So
yeah.
we're in
I know, that's
the
so
local
cool.
slot.
I know,
in the-
that's why our numbers are up, because
Is it helping?
you set the stage.
Oh,
Yeah, it
good.
is.
That's
yeah,
great.
numbers, yeah.
Oh, I love
so
it.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I've had the pleasure of being on your show once, being in your audience a couple of times, and it's a really cool concept. It's you sort of set out to put two sides, and you discuss it in a really meaningful way. Was that always the plan? I know you don't say you don't have plans, but what was the plan with the show?
I don't know. That's an example too. They called me and they said, when I first got to the chamber, well, I was in there maybe a couple of years, we need to get someone to host a business show. And we were calling people, and I said, well, I'll try it. And okay. So I went over and I did a practice. I'm a really bad practice person. I'm better to just do it,
Go, yeah.
And I did a practice, and I was really bad. And then we used to do the show live. So then we just started doing the show, and it kind of worked out. I think what we try to do is find relevant topics to the Valley, local, or even national stories where local people would have opinions. So it could be on healthcare, national healthcare, but who in the Valley would know about that. And we try to be point counterpoint. Once in a while we do one-on-ones. I mean, I've been blessed. When I think I've had, Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State, well, just afterwards, Newt Gingrich, Jesse Jackson.
You've had the governor several
the governor.
times.
So it's been interesting.
Senators.
A lot of people. And as you know, you only have a finite time. So
it's fast-paced.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is, have you felt a change over the last year or two when things have become very polarizing? Very few different sides are having a lot of trouble talking right now.
Yes.
But your show has seemed to maintain that level headed, even tempo. Have you seen a change or a shift?
Well, we kind of like. We kind of like. We try to make it a point counterpoint. I mean, we try to get some back and forth interaction. So yeah, the world's a little different now. It's a little. It's easier to find people on the left and people on the right. And so I always kiddingly say if we ever do a show on the president, we just have to say, good evening, we're doing a show on the president. Okay, you guys start.
And everybody,
and it's going to be...
maybe open that up to callers.
Yeah, so...
and what's it like been working with FMZ and
sort
of the opportunity here? He's a great guy, isn't he?
Fisher and, that's been... I mean, I never thought... So I get to do the FMZ show. And again, like you, they're great to work with, and Barry Fisher's a great person. And I get to do a column for the morning call, which I love doing.
Oh, and you do your radio show with Gunther.
With
we
Gunther,
should mention.
So I do the radio. So
and that's AM, right?
Yeah, okay. It's an AM drive time, but his numbers are incredible in terms of he's been doing it for 33 years. So I go in on a Friday, and it's more of a comedy, comedy act. We just try to have some fun and get out.
Did you ever envision that sort of media, radio, TV would be a part of who you are? I mean, it seems to suit your natural personality, but was that a thing? Can you ever recall as a kid or younger thinking?
No.
Again,
I don't even know all this stuff. I always think of that book, or maybe it was a movie. Somebody upstairs likes me. All this stuff. I don't know how. I really don't. No, never had. Again, I hate to say to people, or young people, in terms of advice, but no, there really was not a plan. It just stuff. Maybe the willingness to try. Even with all the insecurities that I have, I think I was like, if I hear an opportunity, I want to at least give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. I think that we can't underestimate seizing opportunity. So you're downplaying it a lot, Tony, but I think the message here I'm hearing is when opportunity faces you, you got to seize it. You have to say yes. I read a quote the other day. I put it somewhere, Dakota, you could tell us where, so Instagram or something, where basically the idea was, the successful people seize opportunity.
Yeah.
That's it. You gotta do it.
Yeah,
And,
so maybe that's true.
Don't be too fearful.
Wow.
See? Look
I'm
at
sort
this.
of filled with myself now.
You didn't even know.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe that's part of it, be in the right place, the right time, and then of course you got to perform. So.
Right, and you got to do the job. When you're not working, and I know you're sort of always working, because I'm sort of always working too. What are you doing? What's your free time like? Where do you like to travel? What do you like to do?
I like to. Wendy loves to travel, and I like to travel, but I like to go places. We went to Italy. I like to go places for 3 days, and then I'm like, okay, I want to go home. She's enjoying and she'll even say, remember we were in this city? I'm like, really? Were we in that city? So, but I don't. I like to travel. I'm not like crazy about it, but I've been blessed. I've been able to go to to Italy, Brazil, Dubai. I've been to Turkey. So I've been some great places.
I remember your Turkey trip.
Yeah. So I do enjoy it, but I'm not as crazy about it as maybe Wendy is. I think for me, I put my little headphones on, and I walk in the Parkway a couple times a week, and I go to the gym, the St. Luke's the gym.
Yeah, you've had a real transformation.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about that?
Yeah, I
So
just
you've been working out with St. Luke's Gym. You did a little ExecuHealth thing
Yeah,
with them
yeah.
to see like where you're at.
Yeah.
And what was it? What was the weight loss? What motivated you for that?
I just didn't like the way I looked or felt,
Yeah.
and for a long time. And I didn't, now I look at pictures now. Not that I still have a way to go, but I look at pictures like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, I didn't like the way don't get me, I think of many people you can say this. I tried so many times to, to get it in line, my weight in line. But one night I was laying in bed and I just kept thinking of this 6, 7, 8, 6. So it's all about, for me, calories. I can eat anything. Now, when you're saying you're going to eat 600 for breakfast, 7 lunch, 800 dinner, and you're going to try and burn 4 or 5 every day, you start making better choices because you can't.
Right. There's only so many calories.
And what I learned?
Yeah.
I learned you can't, unless you're like a professional athlete or an Olympian, you can't exercise yourself thin. No, you have to. It's about you got to cut back.
Yeah, they say it's like 80% diet.
Yeah.
I mean, the exercise is important, and that's
Sure.
important for the inside stuff you can't see. How do you feel? I mean, have you noticed how you feel?
No, I feel great. I feel great, especially when I get dressed. And what was really great, I used to always say I have thin suits and fat suits. So I threw away my fat suits finally after all these years, and then I had thin suits. But now I got rid of those, and then I had a second iteration, and then I had some of those taken in. So I hope I can keep doing it forever. It doesn't feel as difficult. Maybe around
Is
holiday.
it more like your lifestyle now? You feel like you've adopted it finally?
Exercise was always my lifestyle, not like a traditional way. Like I used to play a lot of golf, and I would walk when I would play.
Right.
So that's 4 hours of walking. I walk the Parkway. Now I go to the gym and lift and those kinds of things. So I've always wanted to exercise. For me, it was always about intake.
Well, you mentioned about not liking the way you looked, but I have to tell you, the outside, you have quite a look.
Mm-hmm.
You've coined a look of matching ties and socks.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I don't even know.
And
Again, I don't even know.
But how many socks? I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen you in the same outfit.
No, people are calling me. Sending me every time I see
stuff,
people.
right?
They give you socks. I got a lot of socks, and bow ties. I got a lot of socks and bow ties, and that's just kind of my thing. I just started wearing. I don't even know how the bow tie thing. I used to put them on and think, boy, there should be a tie here. So I never wore them, and all of a sudden, about maybe 3 years ago, I started to wear a bow tie, and so that's all I wear anymore is a bow tie.
I love it. It was definitely your signature look.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So think about that.
Okay.
But think about where you come from. When I think of from an assembly line worker, and I'm not proud of it, but I don't have a degree. So I'm I'm an assembly line worker. Now I get to be at events and be around people and perform in front of people, the annual 1,400 people, and you get to come up I guess with a shtick. You got a bow tie going. So I guess the balance of that is to maybe be unique, but in Lehigh Valley, you got to the humility does well in this valley. That people don't like people.
I think genuineness. You need to
Maybe
genuinely care,
Yeah.
and people know that you do. So
Maybe that's the word.
Well, before I let you go, we'll do a little rapid fire.
Okay.
Just random questions.
Gotcha.
You had one meal left to eat. What would it be?
Ooh, wow.
Last
that's a
meal.
good
What
one.
would that be?
Last meal. I'm gonna go chicken cheesesteak.
Chicken cheesesteak. Okay, that's kind of a healthy version of a
I'm gonna go
cheesesteak.
chicken cheesesteak.
All right. If you could travel to one place you've never been, where would you go?
Oh, that's a really good one. That's I'm going to say because I would say Ireland because I'm half Irish, half Italian.
You haven't been to Ireland?
No, I have not. So I'd say Ireland. Yeah.
Oh, that's bucket
say.
list. I'm talking to Wendy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to do that.
All right. If you were able to invite 3 people to dinner, who would they be? And they can be living or deceased.
Wow.
And I'll make an exception if you feel like you got to put 4 on that table.
What?
But
I
3
don't
or 4
know.
people.
Wow. Who do I would say it'd probably be a variety of list. I would definitely say Dr. King, Martin Luther King. He's one of the best speakers ever. I think he. Maybe John Kennedy, if I could bring him back. I better go on the right. I better kind of find some conservatives too that I would. See, I don't know.
Or personal.
Yeah, or I have a lot of quotes. My favorite quote's from Teddy Roosevelt. I don't really know much about him, but I'd love to know what he's like. For some reason, the past. I'm not a big historian, but the world of the past, how people lived, interests me. So that would be And I think for me, because we're sort of in this public world, almost any president I'd love to talk to just to
see what their vantage point was, right?
Yeah.
If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would those words be?
Wow. Lucky, fortunate, lucky, happy, and paranoid.
Well, on that note, our lucky guy who's paranoid, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here, Tony. It's been a pleasure
Yeah.
getting to know you about these last 7 or 8 years and working with you in the chamber, and we just wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks. And
Can't
same
wait,
here.
Can't wait
Thanks.
to see what's to come.
Thanks for all you do. You're incredible.
Well,
So
thank you.
thanks.
Happy to be here to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.